Imagine working a desk job, having 2 kids, paying your monthly bills and rent, running a successful YouTube channel on the side, and also making a massive sprawling 2D game in Godot. It sounds a little stressful, right? But you know, it also sounds incredibly inspiring. At least it is for me when I heard this story. Meet Mark, aka Goodgis, a wildly successful YouTuber with over 200,000 subscribers, and he's also creating an impressive game called Dynasty in his spare time. This conversation with Mark was both fascinating and honestly, it gave me the kick in the butt that I need to stay focused, work hard, and finish my own game. In this conversation, Mark and I discuss why game devs struggle to finish their games. We also discuss if Kickstarter is still a viable option for indies. We also talk about knowing if your game is actually a good idea to begin with, building a family while making games, how a spouse can be a game dev multiplier, why indie games constantly change during development, especially with a small team, balancing multiple entrepreneurial ventures, and why Godot is Mark's engine of choice. And finally, stick around to the end because Mark's gonna crack open his pixel art game in Godot. And honestly, I was so impressed. You don't want to miss this part of the podcast. It's really impressive. But before we dive further into the interview, I want to say a big thank you to this video sponsor, Sentry. Look, if you're working on a game, especially one you plan to release, having a reliable error and crash reporting system is essential. See, Sentry makes this very, very simple by offering real-time crash reporting for actual gameplay across all platforms. They support nearly every language and framework, including Unity, Unreal, Godot, and custom engines. And they also have console support for PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Catching and fixing errors during development can greatly optimize your workflow, but Sentry also monitors errors and crashes after your game ships, so you can see exactly what issues your players are running into. They also recently added user feedback support to Unity, letting you collect feedback directly from your players without them leaving the game. It's very easy to set up with a completely free tier to get started. So whether you're preparing to launch or maybe you want to support an already live game, I definitely recommend you check them out by clicking the link in the description. My view of YouTube and also my view of game dev has just radically changed since I was in my 20s. I don't know why, but I always viewed it as like, this is supposed to be pure and not financially driven. And over the last couple years, I've had to transition into this mindset of like, why is it so bad to build a business on YouTube and build a business with games?
Yeah.
And I've seen some of my friends graduate into like running a full-fledged studio with like 20, 30 people. And meanwhile, I'm still sitting here as a solo dev. And I had a studio with like 5 people last year, but it didn't, we had funding issues. So all that said, I sometimes I wonder if the way I think about my game is still not mature enough. I need to think about it like it's a systematic process with a schedule and a budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hard. I guess it all comes down to what you're trying to get out of game development. Because I kind of feel like when I initially started, I was like, I want to have a big studio and you want to be like Nintendo. And then the older you get, you realize like, why am I trying to break free from the corporate lifestyle to create that again in my life? So it's like,
that's true.
I think even if I was like hyper successful, never had to work again, I think I wouldn't hire more than a person or two, maybe 5 at the most. But I don't even think I would keep it pretty small, because at the end of the day, I think what makes game development fun is like doing it. So.
Exactly. So, there is something there. There are 2 joys with game development. Number 1, creating the game with all the freedom and the passion. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
Number 2, making money.
Yeah.
And so those 2 things are sometimes they seem opposed to each other.
Yeah.
And finding that balance is tough. I wanted to ask you, speaking of like making money from games, tell me about this Kickstarter you did. And first off, the emotional side, if we could talk about the emotional side of it, like how did it feel launching a Kickstarter?
It was interesting. I went into it not expecting a whole lot, because just from what I've seen, like I feel like board games always do better. I feel like Kickstarter is kind of designed for that. The year prior to Dewdrop, I did a Kickstarter re-releasing a board game I made with a friend in college, and that raised like $40,000. So that did really well.
Oh, wow.
And I started to get a feel for like, okay, this is what you need to do for a Kickstarter. So for going into Dewdrop, I knew it was I was gonna be against the headwind, because I'm like, the art style at that point wasn't very appealing. And I'm like, it's a video game. I'm like, I don't know. So I honestly didn't expect a whole lot out of it. And I kind of viewed it as like, hey, if this does well, it sounds kind of bad, but I viewed it as a way is like, hey, is this game commercially viable? That's really what it was. It was like, if people are willing to support this Kickstarter, not only is it going to help development, and it's going to make the game better, but it's also going to show me like, if it flops, then people really don't have that much interest, and I'll move on to something else. So
Yeah.
I really had like the weirdest perspective going into it. And what I didn't want was exactly what happened. What I didn't want is to barely get funded, because like, it just feels like, so like, did people really want it, or just people are really supportive? Either way, people are like, everyone was so incredible.
And you leveraged your YouTube channel for it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I made like 1 or 2 videos. I did it during Steam Next Fest. I did a demo and the Kickstarter.
You did a demo. Where's the demo now?
It's no longer there, because the game is so different.
I see.
Like, even like I took down the trailer of the game, because it just is a totally different game. So yeah, it was a really weird experience. I had some friends who made like $100,000 with a Kickstarter, or more money, or around the same amount. So I was very grateful for it. Of course, I think we all secretly hope that someone's going to hand you like $250,000. So you're like, oh, I can work on this whole time. But
well, let me just tell you that getting $250,000 from somebody is, most of the time, as someone with experience in this, most of the time that's kind of like golden handcuffs. You do feel a little bit like you owe them something. You know, let's say it's a backer and they just really want to be nice, or it's an investor, or it's a publisher. Suddenly, all of a sudden, the moment the money comes in your account, you feel this sense of relief, and then all of a sudden a hangover. It's like alcohol. I mean, it's like the next morning you're like, oh no. And you feel like, dude, I'm not kidding. Ever since I've signed with, I've had a rough 3 years finishing Twisted Tower. It is, and people are probably tired of hearing me say this, but, and 3D Realms has been great, but that pressure of working with a big publisher, I literally have pain in my stomach all day.
I believe it.
All day and all night. It's always there. And I know for a fact that the moment I launch that game, and I can't say when, but hopefully soon, I know it's going to go away. Yeah. It's going to go away. There's this stress knowing that you owe somebody something. Investment is a tough thing, you know? So I wouldn't say it's a more freeing thing.
No.
It's a different kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, so. I don't think I would ever do a Kickstarter again. Like, outside of like a board game or something, getting something physically printed where you need the extra money to just pay for it or whatever. But yeah, because like, even when I did my board game Kickstarter and trying to ship out 600 physical copies of something, and you're going to the post office, and you're like, how do I do this? It's a horrible feeling. Because you're like, I'm responsible for this. I don't want to destroy everything that I've done. And I actually have this unpopular opinion, but a lot of people that do Kickstarters and say they don't turn out well, and people are like, oh, he's a grifter, you know, or he's trying to steal from us or whatever. I actually have a lot of sympathy for those people doing it, because I think they just don't know. I don't think there's people obviously out there to take your money, but there's a lot of people that are just trying their best and they don't know what they've signed up for. So
that's a really good perspective, man. I think you're totally right. Do you remember the video where PewDiePie flicked off the guy who made Bear Simulator?
I don't.
Okay, so PewDiePie's a changed man now. Yeah. He doesn't do a lot of the stuff he used to do. Like all of us, you know, when you're about to graduate out of your 20s, right? And you're going to become a 30-year-old. So once you hit 30, suddenly your perspective starts to change. But anyway, he played Bear Simulator, this game called Bear Simulator, which I believe let's see how much it made. 341% funded. Wow. So it raised $100,000. Okay. And then, so everyone was excited about Bear Simulator, and it came out and PewDiePie played it. and it was rough, you know. It was first person controller, and you just collect coins or something, you know. But PewDiePie at the end of the video, he flicked off the developer and was like, "F you." I think he apologized for it later, but the developer ended up saying that he was quitting game dev and he's done.
Wow.
And you're totally right. I do have, in a weird way, I have a lot of sympathy for this developer. It's FarJ Studios. I have sympathy because I got off a call yesterday with a producer in Hollywood because I want to get into filmmaking. So I'm getting advice from a bunch of producers. And this producer said, what you need to, I told her my budget for the film. And she was like, what you need to do is you need to hire someone to write the budget for you. They call it, I think they call it a line producer.
Okay.
You hire someone to go in and write a budget for you. And she was like, because you don't know.
That's true.
And the same is true with game dev. Why is game dev any different? Yeah. FarJ Studios doesn't know what $100,000 can get you, right?
Yeah.
And so he probably was panicked. He's like, I can't make a bear simulator game. But he figured it out 4 months after he did the Kickstarter, you know?
Yeah. So
do you feel like you're going to be able to accomplish your goal with the funding that you got?
Yeah, I think this is a terrible motto to have. Well, and it's not a terrible motto, but I always try to underpromise everything I do.
I think it's great, dude.
And I think that's why the game has taken longer to release, because obviously I want it want to make sure it's worth the wait. But I think it does keep me up at night thinking about it. It's like, oh, are people going to be disappointed? I feel more bad about the wait than the money, if that makes sense. Like,
yes, no, absolutely.
Because people waiting this long, it's like, that means it has to be the best game ever, And there's been so many comparisons to Hollow Knight and stuff like that, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's like, I think Silk Song came out today and everything, and everyone's so hyped and excited, but it's like, I'm like, that is such an unfair comparison to make, because it's like, they really struck gold, and you can't expect to strike gold as well. But I will say, I'm confident that people will enjoy it and find it fun. So that's all that matters.
Would you say you have, this is going to sound like a really random question, would you say that you have a very sensitive moral compass? Meaning you have a high level of integrity. You don't like to lie about things or like white lie about things.
Yeah, I'm very blunt and honest.
Yes. And when you say things keep you up at night, for me, I'll just say for me, the things that keep me up tonight, they will, but the things that keep me up at night are integrity stuff. So like if people think I'm a liar, or if people think I'm a grifter, or if people think I copied something, that stuff is the most painful stuff. That's the stuff that keeps me up. Yeah. And so, the two places if you're that kind of person, the two worst places for you to be is YouTube and Kickstarter. And I've done both of those, so I definitely know the feeling of like, man, I hope I can deliver what I'm promising. Do you have confidence in yourself as a game developer though?
Yeah, I feel like I went through a season where I totally lost it. I feel like last year, the year before, I was just really overwhelmed, and I kind of lost that sense of like, I don't think I can do this. And so I started to like do a bunch of research, and then eventually I realized the lie that I guess I was believing about myself is that intuitively I didn't understand what made a fun game. But I'm like, we know what a fun game is. Like, it's not like, and there's some games like you're biased, you have a bias towards it, so it's hard to see the big picture. But one thing that I've been blessed with my entire life is self-awareness, and I'm that type of person. I'll make something, and unless I'm satisfied, like, I feel like I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like my standards are incredibly high. Yeah. And as long as I follow my standards, I know that to some level, my games will be successful. And so I've gotten away from doubting myself, and I'm just like, I'm going to do this. This seems fun. And I'm kind of getting back to the root of game development. I'm like, if it's fun for me, then there's got to be at least 1,000 people or more who agree that it's fun for them. Yes. And that's what I did for, I keep going back to this because it's like my only commercial product that I've released so far. But I did that for my board game, The Keep.
The Keep? I'm going to look it up here.
Yeah, here's a little copy of it right here.
You had it ready to roll. That's cool, dude. Can we see inside of it?
Yeah. So made this with a buddy in college, and I literally went into it trying to design it. I'm like, I don't like board games, so I'm gonna make a board game that is actually cool. And because I went in with that perspective, you think like, well, if you wanna make board games, you gotta know everything about board games. I didn't like, I've played board games and stuff like that, but I'm like, I'm just gonna make something I want to make. And because of that, it's sold so well. Like even now, like it's honestly, obviously with everything going on with tariffs too, it doesn't make it easy, but it's so hard to sell physical copies of games, but literally we cannot keep them in stock. So it's like the weirdest thing. It's like you have a product that everyone wants to buy and the game is really fun, but we can't, like, it's not commercially viable because it's so expensive to buy these things and then it's expensive for people to get them. So what we've done is we've been selling a PDF of it, and we've gotten like hundreds of people have bought this PDF to print out this game and play it themselves. But it's a roguelike card game. So the whole idea is that you have these like different characters that you play as. Can
you put that closer to the camera for me? I want to see it.
Yeah, these different characters you play as.
Oh yes, dude, you're such a graphic designer. Though everything about you, it to me screams this guy is a control freak about aesthetic and margins and padding and pixel size and fonts and color. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. There's a little bit of wiggle room. I try not to be too like crazy about it, but I'm especially color. I feel like color that's one of my favorite things. But
me too. I love me some color. And for some reason, this is a complete side note, I'm looking at how I try and control the color of my studio. I keep wearing this camo hat and I'm like, this does not match at all.
I like it though. I think
it's a nice little like weird, it's like a weird little flare. But I like camo lately. But dude, that's awesome about your board game. Is your wife proud of you?
She is. She's like
that's my first thought, because I always try to impress my wife with creative stuff. So
it's funny. My wife is so loving and supportive, but like I'll do something that's crazy. I'm like, I can't believe I figured this out, and she's like, yeah, I knew you could do that.
Exactly. My wife's the same way.
I need you to be like, wow, I can't believe you did it either. Yeah. She's like, no, I never doubted you.
Well, there's I totally understand what you're saying. I think every time I'm making a game, I'm like, I'm going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in this game. Or when I was not spending my own money on it and I was like just spending time on it as a hobby, I'd always tell my wife, like, we're not going to make any money off this. We're going to make no money. And she would just like ignore it. She didn't even like hear me saying it. And then when the game comes out and it's making money, I'm like, aren't you surprised it's making money? And she's like, no, I know. I knew you were going to make money. So it's an amazing thing to have a spouse that has, well, like you were saying about standards, has really high standards for you because she knows you. You know, she knows, like, of course he's going to make money on this thing. And of course he's going to be successful in this one little venture because her view of you is high, you know?
It is great. Do you ever have family members that their view of you is like way too high? They're like, how many subscribers do you have on YouTube? Like 5 million? You're like, no. It's like, I thought you do that full time. Like, no.
No. Yeah, I do. And, but I also know what it's like to have family members who are, at bare minimum, they're just very confused. And friends as well. Like they'll say, I had one friend, he found out, he hadn't met me yet, and he found out that I made games. And he told me after the fact, he was like, honestly, dude, I was kind of embarrassed about you because he thought that I was like some 35-year-old in his parents' basement, like making video games. You know, he didn't see it as like, oh, this is actually a job. And the same is true with YouTube. It's like, no, it's actually like money, you know, money comes in and it's a business. But my wife has always been incredibly supportive. I wanted to ask you a quick question though, about what you said earlier. What did you say? You were talking about the board game. Oh, you were talking about how just because you don't know like the idiosyncrasies of what makes a good game doesn't mean that you're not going to make a good game.
Yeah.
Do you remember saying that?
Yeah.
Something like that. What do you think that comes down to? Is that taste? You just have, you know that your taste is good and that you're not going to let yourself release something if you know it tastes bad or if you know that it is bad?
I don't know. That's a...
Because like not everybody can do that. Not everybody can detect that the game isn't working.
I think this is something I saw a lot in art school where like there's some people that were aware that what they put up there wasn't perfect, and there's other people, like when we'd hang up our artwork to be critiqued. One of our teachers used to have a box cutter. It was crazy, but no joke. But when we hang up our stuff, there's some people that were just so confident, and I'm like, how are you confident? I'm like, it's not. You shouldn't be confident about that. And they couldn't see the problems. And there's other people that just be like, oh, this is great, but I wish I could fix or improve that, or whatever. So I don't know if it's just like a musical thing where it's like being able to hear, not being tone deaf.
Yeah.
It's almost like not being tone deaf to creating something, because ultimately, if you were to play the game and it wasn't your game, would you enjoy it? Would you like the art style? Do you think the art style is like, I think a lot of times we like to flatter ourselves and think that our art is like the best. But like, even when I work on art for Dewdrop now, I'm always looking at other games. And I'm like, well, people are going to directly compare it to these games. And does it stand out? Are people going to like it? Like, do I like it over these games? Am I proud of the artwork versus what these games are doing? And if the answer is no, then I need and sometimes you can't always go back and fix it. Sometimes you have to be like, well, this game is going to take me 20 years if I do that, But
Yes.
I think it just comes down to training your eye. And like, we know, like when you sit down and play a game, whether you're a game critic or not, whether you're a game developer, if you're bored in 5 minutes, you're bored, But
right.
if you're enjoying it, I think the main thing is to dig deep and like, why am I enjoying this game?
That's a really good point. Have you ever played your game with someone else watching you play it, or had someone and all of a sudden your perception changes?
Yeah. Normally it's like you're even more critical. You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's like that's a great way. Actually, normally what we do. So when I'm working on Dewdrop, so I have two other people that help me. So my brother, who's also my editor, he helps with level design. He helps like just a bunch of like little repetitive tasks he helps with during the game development process. And then my college friend, Bonzo, he has been making some like extra tracks for the game. And also he's a
music?
Yes.
Okay.
And he also does like concept art, and he's like, he loves really technical fighting games and all this stuff. So, and my brother likes Roller Coaster Tycoon. So it's like just a mix of people,
Is your brother older than you or younger than you?
He's older. Yeah. He's a couple years older than me.
5 years, you said?
He's 3 years older.
3 years. Okay, yeah. So I think I might be older than your brother even.
Yeah, I think you are.
33. Yeah. Roller Coaster Tycoon was my childhood. And I'm sure it was for you as well, to some degree, right? It's an incredible game, but keep going.
So what I'll do every once in a while, I'll have them over, and then we'll play the game on the Steam Deck just to get like the full experience. And that's when like all the flaws, all the cracks come out, because you're all playing it together and you're getting bored, and you're like, we pass the controller, we just take turns, because the game's getting long enough that's like, I'm sick of playing it. I'm like, let's like someone else play it, please. And doing that, I think, is really helpful. So I think if you're not sure if your game is good or not, it's good to have other people play it.
Yeah.
And actually, though, I don't know about you, but it makes me stressed, because I'm like, now I got to fix this.
Of course it does. Of course it does. Who was I talking to? I was talking to Tom Francis in the previous podcast that I just uploaded, and we were talking about beta testing, and he was saying how it's some of the hardest days of his life are beta testing and just alpha testing. It's worse for me. It's worse than launch, because you get way many more bugs during a beta test than a launch.
Yeah.
And so I always get really sick. Like my stomach always hurts when I'm stressed. And so it's like particularly bad during the beta testing and alpha testing. But yeah, I'll have my brothers play my games, and like I have 3 older brothers, and we grew up playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff together, but they'll play Twisted Tower. And yeah, it's wild how all of a sudden the game looks completely different, because in a way I'm kind of looking at it through their eyes.
Yeah.
And this is just a great way to build your taste, to grow that palate, is to taste food or taste your game through another person's senses.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because I think this is valuable for a lot of people listening. It's not every day that everybody gets to hear a game developer who is not, and no offense to anybody or whatever, but like who is not single or doesn't have kids or, a mortgage or paying rent or whatever. And so I wanted to ask you, does being a husband and being a father, a family man, does that help you as a game developer, as a YouTuber, or does it hurt you?
I feel like it does both. It's like, I feel like I'm a healthier person because I don't know if you used to do this or still do this, but definitely before I was married and definitely before I had kids, I could work like 12 hours, especially like when the first couple of years my wife and I were married, I could work for hours because we saw each other all the time. I work from home, so it's not like she's not around. So we'd see each other so much that I was like, okay, I'm just going to work later and later and later. And it's great, but at the same time, I was like mentally super unhealthy because you just start to get weird and like, oh man, if you're too creative for too long, you'll just go nuts. You gotta talk to real people, talk about football or something. I like football.
I don't know how to do that, by the way. No. I have no idea how to do that.
But you have to get away. You got to talk with feel like being in a community is really healthy. So having kids is great because it makes me. I have my time to work, and then when it's done, it's done, and I don't think about work afterwards because I have the kids. It was rough for a time period because I didn't have a separate space, so I'd be working on something, and then the girls would run in and like ask for something. I'm like, no, or they're like, what are you doing? Can I do that? I'm like, stop it. So,
yeah, you forgot to deadbolt your office door, dude.
My previous office didn't have a door, so it was like connected. It was like a room connected to our living room.
I see.
So we used to put up a gate, but then they would just stand at the gate and watch me, and then you feel guilty.
That's adorable.
The worst thing was the guilt. You just feel guilty because you're like, would I rather spend time with my wonderful child or work on a game? And it's like, I don't want to have to pick. I want to,
I don't think you should feel. Just a side note, I think this. You shouldn't feel guilty because you've got to bring in income for the family. And I grew up. My dad was 8 to 6 o'clock every day, or 6:30 in the morning to 6 p.m. I have a great relationship with my dad, and that was just, as long as there was a rhythm that my kids or that I could expect from my dad. Yeah, that was, I think, the most valuable thing, a rhythm. I knew he was coming home at 6:30. I knew he'd check the mail at the counter for 20 minutes. I knew he was going to turn on the news, and I knew I was going to get to sit next to him and talk to him while he watched the news, right? It was always the same. And then he'd walk me to bed, we'd pray, and then it was the same thing over and over and over and over again until now. He still rocks me to sleep. I'm just kidding. but that rhythm was really helpful. And I totally understand what you're saying about before you have kids. Dude, I had no rhythm. It was like whenever, I'd work whenever. Yeah. So I think that was kind of an unhealthy way to be. So what about being married? Does being married help you as an artist, as a YouTuber?
I think so. I think it just has different challenges. I think it adds a lot, but also, like, I remember some of the unhealthiest time in my marriage is when I was working a bunch on a game. So I'm like, well, and my wife was working a lot, so we just didn't see each other. Yeah. It was like the first year or two was a little rocky. And so we're like, we made a change, Yeah. And so I think it just all depends on you as a person. But I think in general, having someone, like, hands down, having someone who's got your back 24/7 it's amazing. It's worth it. And there's a lot of people like, I don't want to get married. I don't have kids because it's so much work. I'm like, yeah, but the work is like 10% of it. And like the love is 90% of it. Like you get so much out of it, even though you put a lot into it. Yeah. And I think this kind of goes into, ready, I'm going to tie this into why people don't stick with their projects is I feel like we're in a society nowadays where it's like, we just want to do stuff when it's comfortable for us. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We feel like it's a bad thing. That's a sign. It's a sign that I should stop working on this because it's hard and I don't want to do it anymore. But once you have kids, you realize like, oh, life's hard and I'm a better person. I'm more disciplined. I'm a healthier person. I'm less selfish. And I've actually noticed my motivation for Dewdrop, for YouTube, for all my projects, I've become more responsible. I view it less as a responsibility and more of like a privilege. And even if I don't love it every day, it's like, it's okay. It's like, I don't have to love it. It's just, so I feel like it makes you a more well-rounded person being married and having kids if you can, and if you choose to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's so interesting what you said. It's kind of like in America, Western culture, it's like everybody expects every meal to be a feast.
Yeah.
And I do too. Like the idea of eating a meal that isn't fully satisfying is difficult for me. And I think that's true in general with everything. It's even with your job, with your marriage, with your kids. If it's not exactly what our body wants, you're like you said, we think it's a sign that we should stop.
Yeah.
And with Dewdrop, were there any moments where, similar to marriage, where you're fighting with it and you're like, I think we need to split up. I don't think this is going to work.
There were several moments, actually. Several key moments. One was before the Kickstarter. I remember I was going to stop the project then because I felt like if I stopped at that point, I could start a new project that had, because I had learned so much, I'm like, I could start a new project that I knew would do well and take less time. But I'm like, I don't know. I thought I could just keep doing YouTube. But, weirdly enough, I watched one of your videos at the time, and in your video, I can't remember, this a long time ago. This is like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And you were saying, like, do you want to be a game developer? Do you want to be a YouTuber? Like, what do you want to be? And you were talking about like how you have to finish a game to have a finished game. And the reward, the accomplishment, the sense of completion afterwards is so fulfilling. And I remember watching that, and my brother also saying that, like, think about it. He's like, if you finish this, even if it does nothing, even if no one cares about it, whatever, still the sense of accomplishment of that you made this from start to finish.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you're right. Because up until that point, I wasn't committed. It was kind of like I was dating the game, but I didn't want to commit to it. And then even after the Kickstarter, I kind of committed myself, but then I kind of was struggling. And then eventually, it was, I think 2 years ago, I was like, it's this. I had a sign up on my wall. It says Dewdrop Dynasty or bust. And which is like terrible business advice, but I'm like,
I love that.
I'm going to finish this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna marry this game, even if it can be abusive relationship sometimes. I'm going to finish it. And then I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
And it's like, because if I don't finish this game, it's like you start to get picky, and then you start dating another game, and it's like, oh, the game doesn't have this, and I want this, my ideal game. And then it's like, you're never satisfied. And no game, like at the end of the day, making a game, it's work, and most of the work is fun. Some of it's not. And if you just give up, my grandfather, he was a World War II vet. He was a communication officer. And he always used to say that anything in this world that has value has a cost to it, has a price to it. So you have to work hard for it, even if it hurts. And I know, weirdly enough, my parents have always said this, people around me have always said this, but when it came to game dev, it never clicked until like 2 years back. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I have to commit. And there's always fears, like, did you commit to the right thing? Is this going to hurt you in the long run? It doesn't matter. You just have to see it through. Otherwise, you're just going to never finish anything. And I feel like is worse. So
I love what you said there, man. And I think that this mindset only really works if game dev is a long-term goal. Again, like marriage, it doesn't make sense if it's like, well, I want to try it, or I want to do it for a couple years. But if it's like, no, like this is what I'm going to do. Like this is my thing, and I'm going to do it for a long time. It makes way more sense. Dewdrop, it's looking great though, man. Like I don't think it's a waste of your time at all. Now, I am curious, can we shift gears and talk about the changes you've made to this game?
Yeah.
So, and also kind of the emotions behind it. You started with a very simplistic art style, correct?
Yes.
And then you've changed it significantly. Can we talk about those changes?
Yeah, so starting out, it was kind of like MS-DOS kind of style. It was inspired by a sock pop game called Bobo Robot. No one's ever heard of it. It's so small, but it was kind of like, if you look at screenshots of it, you'll see like the chunky, simple pixel art. It started out kind of like that.
Bro, This looks so good. Sock Pop, they seem to have a really good understanding of graphic design as well, like you. Even their art style looks like graphic design, so it's really, really pretty. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, it's super aesthetic. And that's actually the scope of that game was what I was going to do for Dewdrop. So I was going to make like a $3 game, and it was just going to be really tiny. Because that game, you can play through it in like half an hour.
Wow.
So the early screenshots and footage of Dewdrop looks like that. Mm-hmm. And I made another interesting choice starting out is instead of the camera following you like a typical like Hollow Knight or a typical Metroidvania, I made it like Zelda almost, where like you go into a room and then your camera's fixed to that room. Like some rooms would be bigger and it would follow you, but then you go into another room and then it would like slide over. Super strange. It worked with the small scale of what like I said what the game was originally. But I think one thing I didn't do before I jumped into the Metroidvania genre is I hadn't like played any Metroidvanias. Actually, I don't like Castlevania and I don't like Metroid. So it's like but I love platformers. So I was like, well, it's like a platformer. So really, this whole time I've been making it, I've been calling it a 2D or a 2D platformer Zelda is what I call it, which is Metroidvania. But
right, which, as you know, that was Zelda 2, right?
Yeah, Zelda 2.
Which was trash.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious that you chose the worst Zelda to mimic.
So it was like I was thinking like Ocarina of Time. Like, what if you had all the mechanics, the dungeons, and things like that? Actually, at one point there were going to be dungeons in the game, and who knows? Maybe that's something they'll go later on. But so it started out, the scope of it was really small, and so eventually it was right after the Kickstarter. Like even the artwork, the background was just black, and it just had like some like basic static stuff in the background, but it just like it didn't look very appealing. And for marketing purposes, I feel like I shot myself in the foot because Dewdrop is a very hard game to market because the screenshots are really like, it's really hard to show the movement. The game, the movement's so dynamic and the movement feels great, but it's really hard to show in the screenshots. That's why I haven't updated it in like 2 years. I haven't added new screenshots. We're in the process of doing that now. But yeah, so I went back, I made a free roaming camera. I zoomed out the camera more. I'm like, we need more space to be able to traverse the world. So I basically like after the Kickstarter and everyone played the demo, like this is great. I basically like, I didn't restart the game, but I kind of did because I had to migrate from Godot 3 to Godot 4. So I had to actually recode everything. And then I decided, I'm like, this is my chance. And so I did a more zoomed out approach, a more detailed art style, took more influence on Paper Mario. And I feel like from there it just kind of evolved. Really, Paper Mario is probably the biggest influence I've tried to take from like a pixel art Paper Mario. So yeah.
I think you and I had the same childhood, man. Like, are you in Ohio?
Yes.
You said okay. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, similar cultures. I'm in South Carolina, so the Carolinas are probably similar in culture. I mean,
a lot of people, it feels like from Ohio, go to the Carolinas and vice versa.
I've noticed that a lot.
Maybe they don't go up Carolina.
Yeah. It might be a little too cold. Cold for us, you know. We're sweating all the time, basically. But yeah, like I say that because my games are. It's so funny you say that about Metroidvanias. The concept and the idea of a Metroidvania is so exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yet I won't play one. You know, I won't play it because I don't have the patience. Hollow Knight is the greatest inspiration. Probably that and Zelda are like two of my greatest inspirations. Yet I will not beat Hollow Knight. I won't. I won't do it. I'll play for an hour, and do you know what I enjoy? Cutting the grass, listening to the music, the art style. That's what I love. And it's what I realized. This happened to me with Once Upon a Coma, which we renamed to Neversong. Was I told my publisher Serenity Forge, I was like, this was supposed to be a Metroidvania, but we're going to call it a Metroidvania Lite. And then what I realized is this is Zelda. You have a hub, and you have your 5 places you got to go, or the 5 worlds. You get a new ability that takes you to the new world, to the new world, to the new world, and there's puzzles inside the world. Yeah, that's basically it, you know, or at least Ocarina of Time. Not Breath of the Wild is completely different, but yeah, it's this feeling of like realizing halfway through the game's development that you're like, oh, I don't think I knew what I was making, or what I wanted to make. You know,
it's looking back, I would have spent way more time prototyping. I also like. and you'll see this with my next game, is I'm gonna make a game that immediately you get feedback on the gameplay loop. Because like a Metroidvania, it takes years because you have to make all the areas, and it's a chicken and egg situation. It's like you got to design the areas, but you got to have the puzzles for the areas, but you got to have the theming, and then like where the bosses, and then you got to get this item to get there. So it's like it's such a complicated game to try to work out all the details, and then you don't even know if it's fun. It's like, and then once you start adding stuff in, like that's the scary part. It's like it takes years and years and years, and then it finally starts to get fun. And also, if you're a person making it and you know all the puzzles and you know where everything's at, then it's like, is it fun? Because how hard is this? Because you don't know, you know where everything's at.
That's so true, man. Half the fun of a game is discovery.
Yeah.
And that explorative feeling.
Especially Metroidvanias. That's I would say like 80% of what makes a Metroidvania. And you don't have that when you're working on it. So
tell me about YouTube and game dev. And are you a freelancer?
So I work full time for a Fortune 50 company or Fortune 100 company as a graphic designer. So I'm in their marketing, but I work from home. So I have a lot of flexibility.
I see. So you've got a baby in one hand, you've got Godot in the other, you've got a job on your head, you've got a wife on your knee. I guess that sounds weird. You've got, and then YouTube on the other knee, and it's like, and then your other daughter on your shoulders. You're carrying so much, dude. You're carrying more than me, because I get to do this full time. YouTube and making games. Tell me about this. Like, number one, why? number two, how?
Yeah, I mean, the why is whenever I fully transition to like full-time development in YouTube, I just want to make sure that we are secure, we have health insurance, all these things, like especially with kids, you want to make sure that they have it. And my wife doesn't work, so she's a stay-home mom. So we've really been taking this time where it's worked to work full-time while doing all this, and it has great benefits, pay off student loans. Those are terrible. Been working through those.
Yep.
And so for me, it's just I'm always I'm a calculated risk kind of guy. Because I think if I were to just jump, I definitely could do full-time YouTube now, but it would be stressful. Mm-hmm. It would be stressful for me because I feel like I'd be so caught up in the performance that it would be worse long term. So I kind of view it as big picture. I feel like I'm going to obviously keep doing YouTube, keep doing what I'm doing, but I'm thinking big picture of trying to make a game, and it may not be Dewdrop. With everything I've said today about like knowing if games are good or not, like Dewdrop could totally flop. Who knows? Yeah. Or it could do amazing. But eventually a game will take off, and that'll be the foundation for me to do it full time. So
you're doing YouTube because you want to do YouTube full time?
I'm doing YouTube because I started doing YouTube, and I think it's a great way. It's a great way to connect with people, to market. It does make it makes money, which is fantastic. It has the potential to be something even more, but really to be a game developer is what I want to do, and I want YouTube to just be like the secondary thing long term. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Well, I will say this as an encouragement to you: the algorithm shows you favor. Your channel in particular, like you're getting really good views, man.
I appreciate it.
You have 200-some thousand subscribers. Subscribers don't really matter. That's what I found. But the algorithm I'm grateful for the algorithm and what it's done for my channel, but it doesn't promote my stuff like yours. And let me just say this as a caveat or as a clarification. Your content is why the algorithm is showing you favor. So it's not just luck. Your content is so well directed. It's directed at a certain group of people, and you always release basically the same quality of content at that target. You do that really, really well with high precision. So I just wanted to applaud you there and say, like, yeah, you do have something special. And this channel could easily, I don't know if it already is, but it could easily be 6 figures a year. Easy. Yeah. Do you mind sharing monetary opportunities for YouTubers? Like what are the opportunities available to you?
Are you saying in general or just?
Well, for like, what's your experience? What brings in money for YouTube?
Yeah, so like ad revenue, obviously, I mean, you're aware of this too. It doesn't bring a whole lot. It's nice. It pays for my accountant every month. So I'm like, that's, and some extra, depending on
Yeah.
if it's a good month. I think sponsorships are really where make the most money. That helps pay my brother for editing and pay for the studio. And so I've had a wonderful relationship with Brilliant for like the last 2 years. They just
I saw that.
they just, and they're so amazing to work with that I really haven't worked with anyone else. I get offers all the time, but part of it is, I'm trying to do one video a month just so I have as much free time as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Going back to juggling everything. I want to have as much free time as possible working on Dewdrop. So to your point, I feel like if I did videos more often, the channel could grow and I think it would grow even faster, and it would be potentially make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But because I got this game I got to finish, it's my baby, but it's not my baby. This responsibility I have to finish. I actually kind of view it as debt in a weird sort of way. Like I have debt.
1000%, dude. Dude,
And
absolutely, that's true.
I feel like I just can't move on to the next phase of doing whatever, whether that's just making videos or making more games until it's over. So yeah, so I think sponsorships are a great way. I did Patreon for a while, but I just couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah, me
And
too.
you really have to give something great to make it worthwhile. And I couldn't really offer that. I've thought about doing courses. Once again, I just don't have the time to do it. I thought about doing a Godot course. So there's ways that I could monetize it and go full time, but like I said, I just don't have the time to do it. I have a friend of mine. He gets so upset because he's like, dude, you could be like so big and do all this stuff. He's like, you gotta like delegate. You gotta do this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I got a system and it's working.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like, I could hire people and delegate and do all this stuff, but like, I don't want to lose sight of ultimately, I don't want to turn YouTube just into a cash cow. You know, yeah. It's like,
I understand.
Ultimately, I love the people that I'm interacting with. I love the community. It's really inspired me. And I just want to, give back to that community. So
that's a really good approach. And admittedly, I've definitely lost sight of that many times. Especially when I think I had a payroll of $20,000 a month last year for my team, and I was needing to do YouTube as well to help pay that payroll to finish this game.
Yeah,
and I couldn't afford it. I eventually stopped doing it and had to wrap up the different contracts for all the different contractors. Point being, though, when things are tight and like you said, you've got this huge debt of this game on your shoulders. Sometimes it feels like you can forget why you do YouTube, and it purely becomes, like you said, a cash cow. And it certainly can. It can bring in a lot of money. YouTube's incredible. I also understand, Mark, what you were saying about it being debt. A game being, my wife calls it the monkey on my back. It is this bottleneck that until I'm done with this stupid game, I cannot move forward. Twisted Tower has been on my back for 3 years. I think it'll be 4 years by the time it's done. And I kind of hate it. I love it and I hate it. I hate it and I hate what it's done to me. I have 3 gray hairs now. And a pain in my side that is apparently nothing. I've gone to the doctor about it. But I say all that because it is this thing that blocks you from moving to the next chapter of your life.
It is. And
I think you're right in thinking that way, because I wouldn't want you, personally, I wouldn't recommend. I've had other friends who have YouTube channels who are like, I want to sell courses, Thomas. And I'm like, until you've released a game, please don't.
Yeah.
Because there's something grifty about selling courses to begin with. Believe me, I have a whole Reddit post about me. I'm a grifter or whatever, a snake oil salesman. But at least I have, I'm on my 3rd commercial release, and I've worked with 3 publishers, and I know how to make games and sell them. It's important to be really, really careful and to get this game done. So this is my encouragement to you is like, get the game done, show the process, show that you know what you're talking about. And then maybe one day you have that credibility, you know?
Yeah.
And mine is not A+. I mean, I've never made a viral game before.
Yeah.
I have a ton to learn. And frankly, sometimes I feel like I don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's what I used to make a lot more videos on game dev advice, and I've really gotten away with that. Or I've, just doing that.
Gotten away from it. Yeah.
Gotten away from it. Yeah.
You got away with it.
I got away with it.
Yeah. You're such a snake oil salesman.
Because it just, it felt like, and we both, even if you haven't finished a game, there's valuable lessons that, especially for beginners, that, things that you can pick up and learn. But I also realized, I'm like, you know what? I just need to cool it because let's wait until I have some success and then I can talk about it and then I can share what I did. So that my even like my videos changed quite a bit because I felt that way. I'm just like, I just want to make sure you're given the right information, or because you don't want to mislead people. And I think if you're open about it, like, hey, this is my opinion, this could be wrong, and that's fine. But yeah, I think that's wise. I think
that's aging into a new. It's like when you have kids and you start to enter your 30s, you just start to get wiser. That's why I started doing this podcast, because I was like, I don't know if I fully trust myself.
Yeah.
To be doing top 10 ways to make a great game videos.
Yeah.
I just released a video yesterday about story, how to tell a really good story. And I felt qualified to do that because I've been doing that for half my life, making story games. But yeah, there's this sense the older I get, which is, man, is there a framework for making games? Like, really? Because it is so dependent on the person who's making it. My process, I was just talking to his name is Kyle Balda. Kyle is the director of Minions and also Despicable Me 3.
Okay.
And I said, my process for making games is probably so different than, let's say, Illumination. Because Illumination, they've got a budget, they've got a team, they've got a schedule, they've got all this process and system. And I said, for me as a game developer, it's chaotic, and I'm sort of discovering the game, and I'm breaking it and then recreating it and breaking it and recreating it. And I said, I feel guilty about that. And he was like, nope, that's creativity. Wherever you are, you're always going to be a little chaotic. And you're never really going to know the exact way for your product to be made. Yeah. Well, speaking of chaos, Unity is in my opinion, a chaotic mess of an engine. And Godot is wildly lightweight and clean and beautiful. And I love and hate Godot because I love it in the sense that it's amazing. I hate it because I don't want to learn it. And I envy people who know Godot. So can you give me really quick why you use Godot, and then we'll open up your project in Godot?
Yeah, so I was looking for an engine. I've tried Unity several times, and I could not understand it. It just felt so bloated and confusing, and I'm like, I don't know. It just felt like a dumpster fire when I used it. That's
exactly what it is, and I've been using it for 15 years.
Things would just break, and I'm like, why is this broken? And so a friend of mine who was a developer, he told me, he's like, hey, you should check out this thing called Godot. And I tried it out, and I hated it. I was like, I don't understand this. I came from Game Maker, and so I just stopped using it. And then what I did is I learned a little bit more computer science, because it turns out you actually need to code properly. Like Game Maker, I know GML uses like a form of C or C# or whatnot, or C++. But it's really weird, like the way it all works. I had never used something like a Unity or a Godot where you just have a page and you just script,
Yep.
So eventually I tried it out again, and it was really confusing, especially nodes. Like the way linking nodes worked is just so odd. It's so bizarre, like starting out. But I just kept forcing myself to use it because I was like, I'm not paying money for software. I'm like, I refuse to. And then I kind of became a Godot evangelist. Like a lot of my early videos, I was just like preaching Godot. I feel like there weren't a whole lot of people at that time just preaching it as much and dunking on Unity. I've gotten away from that now because I feel like my work is done. I feel like so many people talk about Godot and don't like Unity. And I still think the reason I even started preaching it in the first place, because I would get comments from these kids. They're like, well, if I want to make a game, I got to use Unity. I'm like, no, you don't. That was what I was trying to break. Or like, you don't have to spend money to do this if you don't want to. So anywho, so yeah, I switched over. It took a while, and I think I've been using it for 5 years now. And now it's like, I don't even, like the first couple of years, it was like, oh, Godot versus Unity. Now I just click it and I forget what it is. It's just like software. It's like invisible to me now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that you were preaching it, because I have been saying for the last 2 years, the one thing, oh man, we're going to get some comments what I'm about to say. The one thing that bugs me about Godot, people treat it like it's a religion. It's a cult. Okay, it's not a cult. Sometimes it feels like it's a cult. And I think this is just open source in general, and look, Godot folks, they have the right to be proud of it and to preach it. But it sometimes feels like it's got this cult-like thing. It's like, I'll make a devlog and I'll say I struggled in making this game or something. Yeah. And the comments are like, that's because you used Unity. That's because you used Unity. You should have used Godot. And I'm like, everybody calm down. It's just software, okay? We're all going to die one day, and this isn't going to matter. Yes. So anyway, I just find it funny that engines, and this is true for Unreal as well. Unity people, by the way, do not preach, at least I haven't found that they do, because they're ashamed of their faith. It's kind of like certain religions, they just kind of keep quiet. They're I'm a Scientologist, but don't tell anybody. That's kind of how it is with Unity, I'm not proud of Unity either, but I like it. I mean, I use the engine. So
it's funny though. I feel partially responsible for those responses, like that people, because I used to dunk on it so hard, because I think what happened was, part of it was I really was trying to help the Godot team. I've talked to them, wonderful people. Yeah, they're just sure. I love what they're doing. So for me, that was my way to, I think, it's being provocative always does well.
Oh, yeah.
And so to be provocative and be counterculture is really interesting. It makes you stand out. But also because I stood behind, like, it's great software. And it's gotten so much better. I still think if you're doing 3D, like, I don't think Twisted Tower would work very well in Godot right now. Like,
no, it wouldn't. It barely runs in Unity.
I still obviously Unity is still a great engine. The amount of money that has been poured into that engine, it's just objectively better at this point. But I love the trajectory of Godot. And so, yeah, I think the thing about open source people is kind of like someone going to the grocery store and there's like free bread. And they're like, and it's homemade, it's delicious, the most amazing bread, but people don't want to touch it, and they're paying $5 for processed bread. They're like, no, but dude, there's some wonderful artisan bread that's for free. Yeah. And I think that's what Godot is, and people get upset, like, dude, this is such a no-brainer, like, especially for beginners. Like, if you're doing 3D, use Unreal, use Unity, or if it's stylized, use Godot. But I think that's why people get so preachy about it, because it's just
can I push back on your metaphor?
Go for it.
The end result of bread is it goes through your system, and you empty it out. It goes away into the toilet. Okay. The end result of Unity versus Godot is very different. So a better metaphor. People are gonna get mad about this. I'm just thinking about the comments, A better metaphor is in a car. It's kind of like, Unity is like this heavy, bulky Jeep. It's really loud on the highway. It's terrible gas mileage, but it's going to work and it's going to get you where you need to go. Whereas Godot is something like a car that's engine isn't fully put together, and the gas tank isn't connected to the engine, and the wheels or the tires, it's just like it's not fully assembled, And the reason I say that is not that it can't make a game; it's that it has trouble shipping games to certain platforms. Yeah. Or it's not even that it can't. It can ship to Switch. It's just more difficult. You got to be a technician to make it happen. Would you agree with that?
I would. I also know that there's services and stuff like that, and even the Godot Foundation, I forget what they're called, W4 or something. They're actually creating a system that for porting. So I think it's the beautiful thing is it's a car that's building itself.
But that's the problem is it's future tense, building, or like, well, that's present, I guess. It's not built yet.
Yes.
So it's still in process. And that for me, as a business owner of a game studio with investment from 3D Realms, I can't justify using Godot because I'm like, we have to ship on console. We have to ship this game, and it has to. We have to optimize it, and we got to use this kind of lighting and this 3D stuff, and that stuff isn't fully realized yet with Godot. Am I wrong?
No, I would agree with that. I think it purely, and this is what I say now, is it purely comes down to what you're trying to get out of it. You know, like if you're trying to make a 2D game, don't use Unreal. You know, it's going to be so unoptimized and it's going to be clunky. You know, and if you're trying to make there's been performance tests and stuff like that. Godot is faster than Unity when it comes to 2D. But if you need to, ship to PS4, I know some areas are easier to like release for versus others. Then that's an issue. If you're just releasing a Steam game, if you want to have great support on Linux and Mac and all that stuff, then Godot is what you need. So I think what it is it's a car that can't go off road yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got like a little coupe, and it'll get you and it's fuel efficient. It's like a Honda Civic or something.
Yeah,
but you're not going to be
very fuel efficient.
You're not going to be able to go off roading. You're not going to be able to do anything fancy with it. You're not going to be impressing people on the street, revving the engine. So I still think Unity. Like when I see games and people are like, well, I want to make this, I'll point them to Unity because you got to be realistic. But at the same time, I don't know. It's funny because a lot of the issues I had early on with Dewdrop, I was like, I don't know how to fix this. I'm not gonna be able to like release the game with this like few bugs. Obviously, it's taken me 5 years to finish this game, but all those bugs have been fixed. Things have been optimized. The performance actually runs better. Like the performance on the game is way better than it was 3 years ago. And that's not just my code. That's just because the engine's gotten better.
The engine's gotten better.
But
yeah, I think that's good, man. I like what you're saying. It's not like a religion. It shouldn't be, because a religion is typically when they have a religion, they're like, this is the way, right? Whereas with engines, it's like, this is the way for certain things.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend Unity for everything.
Yeah.
I think that Unreal, like for example, if you want to make a freaking horror walking sim where you have a flashlight. By the way, I'm super annoyed with all those games, and I love everybody who's making them, but we got to stop. These horror walking sim games with you find a key and then you unlock a door and then you go in a house. We got to stop these Unreal games from happening. But if you want to make a game like that, Unreal is a great game, or a great engine for it. Well, let's go ahead, man. Mark, you want to go ahead and open up Dewdrop in Godot, and we can take a look at it briefly here?
Let's do it.
Oh, yay. I love this stuff. All right, tell me about what's going on, man.
So starting off, this is like the main scene. It's called my gameplay scene. So, I'm sure there's a million ways you can do this, but this is just how I did it. So if people are watching this and think it's strange, it probably is, but it works. So, so I have this main node. I have this current room node, and basically this is where I load in all my rooms. I'll load in a room. I'll switch it out. So basically, what you're seeing right here is what is loaded at all times while the game's running, and then I just swap out this node here. And if we jump into this node, it's just the room, the level that is Tumbleweed 21. So pretty, I don't know, for my brain, it makes a lot of sense.
I think it does. And a node it's effectively a container.
Yeah, it's like a folder. It's a folder that could be an object, if that makes sense. So it's like...
It's so confusing, man.
It's like...
It's a scene, it's an object, So it's a scene, right? It can be a scene.
Yes.
It can be an object, and it can be a prefab. I don't know if you know what prefabs are, but...
I think a prefab is probably a best way... I don't even know if that's a great way to describe it. Basically...
It's not because nodes can also simply contain scripts with no transforms, right?
It depends on the type of node you choose. So let's go. I'm going to add a node real quick. pull this over. So you can add whatever node. Like, let's go to 2D nodes. Say you want a collision shape, or say you want a ray cast, or let's just do a sprite, okay?
Yeah.
You create a sprite, and now your sprite's in the game. So that's actually your sprite. But you can put stuff underneath the sprite, so you can nest objects under that sprite. So I could put sprites under sprites, under sprites, under sprites, under sprites, under sprites, and I could put scripts on every single one.
Yes.
So what you can do is you can make one of these a scene, which is what I have here. That's what these little icons are. They're scenes.
Ah, yes.
And basically, it's just it's nodes that are grouped together. It's like a prefab. So it keeps things, it makes them less messy. Because could you imagine if let's view this locally. Like, you would have all this stuff, and then
yes, that's Unity.
Yes, and that's why I couldn't stand Unity, because I'm like, where is everything? Yeah. So everything's neatly nested into each other.
Yeah.
And it just keeps things nice and tight. And
can we, Mark? Do you mind if we enter? Well, first question: the fog is moving.
Yes.
But we're not in play mode.
Yes.
Why?
So some things like particle effects or scripts or shaders will run in editor.
Okay.
Most things don't run in editor, but you can actually, in Godot, you can actually customize it so things do run in editor. Like,
yes.
Let's go to, I'm not super familiar with Unity, so
Unity you can, it's just very heavy. You're gonna, like, I could make the clouds move in Unity outside of play mode, but there's no reason to do that.
Okay, so it just automatically does it. That's like a part of Godot.
Okay.
I'm sure you can disable it if you want to.
Yeah, but that's a shader. That cloud is a shader.
That cloud is just a shader. It's just a sprite that's just being moved with a shader. So it's pretty lightweight. I
gotcha.
I have a script. So we have like a treasure chest. Okay, I'm going to drag it in here. And you'll notice that it has a little icon over top of it. So then I have these drop downs that I can change.
Yay.
Things that go in the chest. And then, so that's something that I've added, is having a preview of what's in the chest.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for me. Or even these enemy spawners, you can change out what it is. Oh. And then it shows on the screen. So those are little things that I've done. Even these numbers to show what switch is connected to what door. Little things that I've done to just make the game simpler.
Well, I will say, to clarify for people listening, some games can ship and all these different editor tools don't exist.
It's true.
Like objects appearing above the chest and a simple drop down to change your enemies. That's not necessary for your game, but like for my game, Twisted Tower, we don't have that level of editor complexity.
Yeah.
But boy, is it useful, to be able to see, as the developer, see what all the chests contain without clicking on them. You know what I mean? So I think you're definitely doing the right thing.
Sometimes things take a little bit of work, but they'll save you a lot of time. And I learned that the hard way. So I created the little tools that work for it. And a friend of mine, Chalicade, he showed me some of his debug features. And I'm like, why haven't I been doing this for like years? Like a room select. Like I was manually like going out of the project, dragging in the room I want, and then running to the room for the longest time. I didn't even think about it. And so now I made a room select thing, and it makes debugging so much faster. So, well,
some encouragement to the audience is, I mean, I don't know where you are on the AI cult, but Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever is really great at making editor tools.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about Godot, but in Unity you can get a great editor tool built in 5 seconds from ChatGPT, and it's going to save you 40 hours, of time total. So I've found that because I used to have team members writing editor tools, and I understand how this sounds. It sucks. It really does. That these team members, they're not necessary anymore. But this is the way it is. I mean, it's a whole other conversation, but I'll just say that editor tools, having ChatGPT write editor tools has been a game changer for me. So I just thought I'd share that.
That's definitely something as a solo dev, like definitely something I've tapped into more.
Yeah.
is what they call vibe coding. But it's so useful. It saves you so much time, or even just like, hey, I got this problem, help me diagnose it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. It's, if anyone thinks it's going to replace, it's not sophisticated enough to code the whole entire game.
No, it's not.
I've tried messing around with projects experimentally, and it just doesn't understand. It doesn't have the expertise that you need as a programmer, and it's not an excuse for you to be lazy as a programmer. Sometimes I just use it to help me break down things in layman's terms so I understand what to do. But
Well, that's why with editor tools, it's particularly helpful, because editor tools, well, they should not be running in the update. They should be a one-click thing, and it does something outside of the game. So even if the code that's written is trash, if it works, it's outside of play mode anyway.
Exactly.
And, so that's why I found it to be particularly helpful with editor tools. Can I ask you really quick about the tile system here, and how the art is put together and the visuals?
Yeah, let's go to a better room. Let's go to let me think. Go to a different location that has a little bit more parallax.
What a great name, Blightfields. That's awesome.
So here's what an area looks like outside of the game. Let's see if I can open this more. I have little notes for myself. So essentially, these are all parallax layers. So you got your base layer, typical parallax stuff. So each one of these is on a different layer. That's pretty straightforward. You'll notice that I'm using more shaders for clouds just to add some depth. I don't know if you do this or not, but I actually overlay colors. I use this is probably like the most inefficient way of doing this, but I haven't noticed any performance issues. I actually overlay colors like gradients over the background or elements, and it changes a room. It makes a room feel slightly different. I've noticed that like some games, like even Hollow Knight, could do this on occasion.
Well, I think Hollow Knight is, I think it's using a shader. I made a video on it on how to do the Hollow Knight look. Now, I'm not saying I'm right, but it's the way that I was able to replicate it. Was basically what you do is you use Unity's built-in fog system, and you apply that fog to the sprites. So the further they go back, the more tinted they become towards the fog color. But to answer your question, for me, with Neversong, I did exactly this. I had all my sprites all the same color, and then I would overlay a big color overlay, especially because it helped create distinction between the ground and the background so that the player knows where they can jump.
Yeah, I do that. Sometimes I have separate artwork for like trees. Generally, like some of these, like they actually have like that faded artwork already. Sometimes I'll overlay a color, but really all this is just a big overlay. Well, I'll turn this back on. This is just modifying the color of the background to just give it a slightly different look.
Yeah, dude,
so
that's great.
I'll have like that. Those were the original colors. I'm like, you know what? It just needs something else. And so I played with this, like these more teal, kind of blue colors. So it's just like a way to fine tune the colors. And if I need to change it, if you're going up a pit or down a pit and there's lava, you can change kind of the background temperature. But
I love that.
That's pretty much it. And then tile maps, pretty simple. Your standard, you just draw it. You
Holy
see,
crap.
If I don't need it, I don't make it when it comes to the artwork. So
how are you doing this? Wait, hold on. You act like this is normal. What are you doing? What is this?
This is
I've never done this before.
So this is Godot's new and improved tile editor. You set up using an image like this, you can set up basically an auto tiling map, and then you set up the terrain. So it's basically just code like, hey, if this thing's next to this thing, that'll show up. And then it makes it so easy for you to just draw. I'm on the wrong layer. Or I'm on the...
Oh, and you've got different layers. You've got the ground layer, the mid-ground layer, the background layer, the foreground.
Yep, so I got like a background, I call it like the cave walls.
Yeah.
So I have that, so it just adds some more detail. But so it's really easy to draw in. That was one of the best improvements with Godot 4 and has saved me so much time. And so I do that, and then I have my foreground layer, foreground elements, my props and stuff like that. Pretty much the same. I mean, this is like bog standard. You get it, you place it. It looks beautiful. So
Can I have you enter play mode for me so that the people watching can see what this all looks like as the final product?
Yeah. So before it gets rendered out, there's post-processing, as you kind of see here. So I zhuzh it up with quite a bit of... let's go into full screen.
Oh, I love your menus. They look neurotic. What I mean is, like, they're particular and very precise, which is totally expected from a graphic designer.
I appreciate it.
I just called you neurotic. Not sure. Dude, this looks so good.
It's
He's
okay.
so bouncy. This is great, Mark.
So...
looks totally different than the Steam page.
That's the thing. It's really hard to get display the sense of movement that the game has. I recently just redid the walk cycle, and I'm
Does he have a pistol?
He does. So,
do you know what I was going to tell you something, Mark? I was going to tell you to lean into contrast with the bee. So what I wanted to tell you this to encourage you that put things in the game that are kind of the opposite of what a bee is.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has a pistol is perfect.
That's
a lot of game developers would be like, well, he needs to shoot like stingers out of his butt or something. No, it's like, no, give him a freaking pistol. That is so funny. I love it.
The amount of people that requested a stinger.
No.
I was like, early on, I don't know why I decided to make like it bug themed. And I just was like kind of a no-brainer thing. And from that point on, and really it was always my intention too. I never want to make like a literal like bug game. But ever since then, it's just gotten weird. Like there's dinosaurs the size of you. Then there's flies, like literally tiny flies that fly around by trash cans.
I love that.
You got a gun. So I've really tried to lean into the wackiness of the game.
Well, I know why you did. I'm about to say something very sarcastic, okay? I know why you did bug themed, because you copied Hollow Knight. Which I watched your video, and that's a sore spot for you, because you didn't. You know, you had the idea, and then you found out about Hollow Knight later. I think that's what happened, right, Mark?
It was. I actually, if anything, I copied more of Bobo Robot, because they had that kind of tiny, like there's little frogs and things like that. And I just thought of a bee. So, and then I was like, why did I pick this? So
no, I think it's great, man. And for the record, I just wanted to say, you should not be paranoid about quote unquote copying Hollow Knight. Do you know how many games are out there that did totally fine that are way more of a copy of Hollow Knight?
It's true.
This doesn't look like Hollow Knight to me. It really doesn't. And that's not an insult. I'm just saying it's got its own style. You're totally fine, dude. It's a Metroidvania. Or not a Metroidvania. It's a Zeldavania. Can you shoot for me again? I want to see a downward. Does it bounce you up?
Yeah. Oh. So you have recoil. There's gun jumping. And later on in the game, this is a recent addition, you can get gun mods. Where's the recoil one? You get gun mods that you equip. It's kind of like a Paper Mario badge system, but it's like Mega Man Battle Network style. And then that affects... So now my recoil's more and I deal more damage. So, and then you can pair it. I even where's the good one? I don't know if you hear the sound effects at all.
I can just a little bit. I think it's coming through your computer though, but it's fine.
There's a gun mod, so you can sound like a duck. Just like really wacky stuff, really playing into that.
Yeah, I would lean into the random. Apparently Gen Z. I don't think you're Gen Z. I think you're a millennial. Are you a millennial?
Millennial, yeah.
Yeah. I think Gen Z is into like random humor lately. I'm not sure. But random humor kind of fell out of style, and I think it's coming back into style.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's like on TikTok apparently. I mean, I'm not on TikTok, or at least I don't watch TikTok. I have an account, but anyway, I think it's becoming more and more popular to be random, which is kind of cringe, but okay. You know, let's do it. You know, if we want to be more random, let's go. He's got donuts. He can eat donuts. Is that a donut?
It's a part of the location. There's a patisserie, a French patisserie on top of a volcano. So
yes, dude, you're totally on the right track here. That's exactly what we need. I was honestly, I swear to you, man, before this podcast, I was thinking I got to tell him that just doing insects is not enough.
Yeah.
The thing about Hollow Knight that makes Hollow Knight work is that it's bugs with this intense level of high fantasy, or like
It is, yeah.
it's tons of world building and this very serious tone. But when it's just playful, you got to go pretty extreme, you know. You got to be weird. You got to go a little weird. This is awesome. Look at this.
This is so this is kind of like the demo location was this area. But actually a lot of people say that this is a Western game because a lot of the footage is just of the Western area in the game. And so I've kind of played into that. Here's the gunsmith right here.
What the heck is wrong with you? This is great. He's a NPC that's a pistol.
It's a revolver.
Yeah, it's a revolver. How's the music, by the way? I can't hear it. What's it sound like?
I don't have it on right now, but the music is a banger. The my composer is obsessed with the 90s. So like I've never seen someone so technically in tune with the 90s. He has like I can't even fully understand what it is. It's like synthesizers that they use for Metroid Prime and Phantasy Star Online. And so it's just absolutely a banger. Like I was just talking to him the other day, and he was saying like so many Metroidvanias are just so gloomy. They're very moody, which makes them atmospheric and cool. But they're too moody where they're just kind of depressing. And our goal with Godot is just to make it like it's got that 90s energy. It's fun. You're happy. It's got that paper mark. It's like it's a Metroidvania where you don't need to take Xanax. That's what we say internally.
I love that, bro. Well, this is awesome. I think, to be completely honest with you, prior to this call, I wasn't sure of the game's quality just because I haven't seen it in a long time, or at least your recent or your old footage. I was looking at Steam and stuff, but this you've definitely made the right moves, man. This looks awesome. It's super bouncy, and he looks like he's kind of made out of like a Play-Doh-y material when he runs. And look at that. Dude, the attention to detail, the inflating of the dynamite is a brilliant idea.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of love and effort has gone into just the polishing, and I think that's the part I've really enjoyed the most. Is just taking an area, because some areas in the game there's a few locations that are just like don't really have this level of detail, but getting it to this level, getting the bosses in, and then just adding all the little characters, the weird little details, the interactables, the collectibles. It's so much fun. I think that's where this game is actually, it went from it being a chore to it being like a delight to work on. So,
well, I'll finish with this. I think that tumbleweed, or that bush that's moving, the brown bush.
Oh, is it right here in front of me?
They're not rotating, are they?
This one right here?
Yeah, the blowing in the wind, it looks like it's still pixel perfect. Is that true?
So I have a dirty little secret. Nothing's pixel perfect.
Really?
Yeah. So that just has a shader. I think it is rotating.
It's got like those scan lines or whatever. Like it looks like it's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that shader specifically is pixel perfect, but there's other things in the game that aren't.
Yeah,
so that bothers some people. I remember, was it DevDuck? You were saying how it bothers you when it's not pixel perfect.
Yeah, I think I may have critiqued him on the podcast. I don't like when there's in pixel games when things rotate, because it's like, that's not allowed. You cannot rotate, at least in the modern way. You have to do it in the traditional way, which I don't even know how to do.
I agree with that. But I did break that. There's some things that are like, there are some enemies or things that do rotate. Mm-hmm. But I agree, like Terraria is really guilty of like rotating. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
But I've kind of adapted that into this style where there's some things that I have, even like the foreground artwork, it's slightly upscaled. So everything's very subtle.
I couldn't tell, man. I really couldn't. And I do care about that kind of thing. So, hey, man, this is great. Thank you so much for your time coming on the podcast. Super, super impressed with what you've made here. I'm really, really impressed.
I appreciate it.
Anything you want to leave in the description, Mark? A call to action here?
My only call to action is to check out Dewdrop Dynasty.
All right.
It's we're working on the marketing for it here soon. We've just been focused on working on the game. So we're gonna make a new trailer here soon, new screenshots. I think people don't fully understand how much has changed and how fun the game actually is. So I'm excited to share that with everyone. So if you're interested, if you like if you like Hollow Knight meets Paper Mario type of game, check out Dewdrop Dynasty. So.
Alrighty, links in the description, guys. Give it a wish list. Not as a way of being nice to Mark. Only do it if you really like it.
Yes.
Mainly because you don't want fake wish lists. But yeah, check it out, guys. All right, Mark, thanks, man. Also, if you're interested in optimizing your crash and error reporting workflow for development and released builds, I definitely recommend you go and check out Sentry and their Unity SDK. It's really easy to set up, and you can do this completely for free by simply clicking the link in the description.